How's it going, DC family? Welcome back to episode 5. To kick this one off, let's start off with a little experiment.
What's one word that best describes Dynasty's culture?
Extraordinary.
Love.
Caring.
Family. Caring.
Different.
Supportive.
Growing.
Integrity. Progressive.
Diverse.
Extraordinary.
Teamwork.
Family.
Extraordinaire.
Caring. Family.
Man, what a blessing it is to hear those people that I love and care about so much use those words to describe our culture here at Diamond C. But one thing that I know is true is that we didn't get here by accident. It was definitely a years-long process of trial and error and discovery for me to learn how to develop and curate a culture that produced high results, an extraordinary culture. So my hope for this video today is that we can break that down, maybe share some steps and tips with you guys that will help you to expedite your own process of culture development, to develop a culture that produces high performance. And that's really a key point of today's video, the extraordinary results, the high performance part. For me and Diamond C, it's all about fueling the growth and success of our team members and our customers and our community. And what I learned over the years is that we absolutely could not be successful in that purpose as long as we didn't have a culture that supported the effort. You may have heard the quote before by Peter Drucker, famous quote that says, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." Took me a while to really embrace that and learn that, but I'm here today to say that it's so true. You can have an incredible team and an incredible product and a lot of the right ingredients for high performance, but if you don't have this cultural foundation that brings it all together, ties your people together, helps them to move in the right direction in the right way, then that high performance, that really extraordinary, call it greatness, becomes out of your reach. With that, let's get on to breaking down this process of culture development and curation into 4 steps that hopefully you can apply to advance your organization. So step 1 is to define your dream culture. Define your dream culture. So if you imagine your team and your organization growing and thriving and really successfully fulfilling the purpose of the organization, what does the culture look like? How do the people involved behave and act and function together in the day-to-day? Those characteristics are the things that make up your culture, that define your culture. So I'm saying step 1 is to brainstorm out those characteristics, to create a definition, to create a clear picture of what your desired culture looks like. Focus on actionable characteristics versus big ideas. And an example of that might be to say quality. We want a quality culture. Well, quality is a big idea that can be interpreted lots of different ways. So one of the things that we've done is broken that down into actionable ideas, such as do extraordinary work is one of the defining characteristics of our culture. And most folks can relate to and understand do extraordinary work much more clearly than they can quality, this big idea of quality. So get as specific and descriptive as you can in defining the characteristics, brainstorming out the characteristics that you know will help to build up that dream culture that you think is required to optimally fulfill the purpose of your organization and to fuel the growth and success of your team. Step number 1. So step 2 is to do an inventory of your team as it relates to that dream culture. You have to decide, does each team member align with the characteristics of that dream culture? Or do they at least have the capacity to do so if the environment was conducive to it? This is especially important with people in leadership positions. And I would encourage you here just not to beat around the bush. Based on my experience, if you trust your instincts at least, I think that you'll find in most cases, people either do or they don't. And if they do, of course, that's awesome. Build on that. That's incredible and a great starting place. If they don't, then you probably have some changes to make. And I just want to challenge you in that to say that if you start trying to build an extraordinary culture, but the leadership isn't aligned to start with, then your path to progress is going to be exceptionally difficult. And you're going to be the one pulling the weight for anyone that is not aligned. So step 2 is to do a team inventory and make sure that the people on your team are truly that they are on your team and they align with your desired culture and they're ready to grow and build with you. So step 3 is to figure out how you can systematize the desired culture into the life of your organization. And it is a critical step, to say the least. One thing I know for sure is that we can't leave it to chance. You can't leave it to chance that culture will come natural, especially as your organization grows and develops along the way. You can't have a semi-annual meeting about your culture and just talk about it. You can't post it on the wall and expect it to stick. Those things don't work. I've tried them all, I promise. So the question is, in what ways can you integrate those desired behaviors and characteristics into your daily and weekly rhythms, the daily and weekly rhythms of your organization, the things that you already do? I know we have to teach them. We have to teach those characteristics, and we have to teach them often. I oftentimes feel like a broken record talking about those characteristics that at Diamond C we call fundamentals now. I feel like a broken record, but I would say that if you begin to feel like a broken record, it means that you're probably doing it right, because that's how often you have to talk about them and teach them and build them up and uphold them within your organization. So once you've begun to teach those fundamentals or those characteristics, you have to get your existing team members oriented and onboarded to them. That's a critical step in systematizing it. How do you get everyone aligned that direction? And then, of course, you have to make sure all new hires and new team members are oriented and taught them on day one, from the time they start. What are your systems to make sure that your new team members are oriented to your culture in the right way? And then even go as far as how can you integrate those characteristics into your coaching and performance review systems for your team members to make sure that they're constantly being led and coached in line with that dream culture. And ultimately, you have to be willing to hire and give promotions, make promotions based on alignment with your desired culture. And similar to what I mentioned in the previous step, ultimately, you have to be willing to fire and make significant hard decisions based on alignment with your culture if you really desire to build up a high-performance culture that gets high-performance results for fueling the purpose of your organization. So a key step for us, as I mentioned, has been the adoption of the fundamentals system, which was developed by a man named David Freedman and his team at High Performance Culture. I had the opportunity to hear him speak a while back and talk with him for a while about his experience with it and his success rate with it. And I really fell in love with the concept because it just made sense as a way for us to take this desired culture from the big lofty ideas down to real life. Down to real life that every team member here could understand and embrace. So we did adopt that system here at Diamond C. And David Freedman's system of fundamentals does an excellent job in helping us to systematize it. And a couple of those, just in brief, a couple of those things is we have a fundamental of the week, which is one of those defining characteristics. We have a fundamental of the week that we start every meeting with. Every meeting that happens at Diamond C, we start with the fundamental of the week, just a brief conversation about it. What does it mean to you? What are the challenges of it? Where have you seen success with it? A brief conversation, just a few minutes about the fundamental of the week, and it helps us to edify one another in that, to build one another up in that. And it helps to keep it alive, where it's not just a poster on the wall or a banner on the shop, in the rafters in the shop. It makes it real life for us, where we're growing in it and developing all the time. So I'm a big fan of the fundamental system. It's been transformational here. But again, as I say, step 3 is to figure out how you can systematize it. It may not be fundamentals for you, but the critical step is to figure out what works for you, what will work in your organization, to take that culture, to take it off the wall, where it's not just a banner on the wall anymore, to take it off the wall and infiltrate it into the daily routines and rhythms of your organization, where everyone there is growing in it and being developed in it and learning it on a deeper and deeper level all the time. Systematize the desired culture into the life of your organization. Step 3. So the last step, step 4, is to review and assess your organization's culture often and revisit step number 3 as needed. I want to tell you, it takes time to change and develop culture. Absolutely takes time. Time is on your side in a lot of cases. So you have to be patient in that. But at the same time, you can't set it and forget it. We have to be careful to continue investing in our culture and adjusting and developing those support systems. In step number 3, continue developing those support systems along the way to optimize the results that we're getting. So decide on a routine for you and your team that works for you to continually check progress towards that dream culture and make adjustments to the system as needed to stay on track with advancing in the right direction. Maybe it's something that you calendar out monthly, an afternoon where you do a culture review, culture analysis, check out your culture systems. Are they working? What's not working? How can you improve them and advance them to make sure that your culture continues to grow and thrive and move in the right direction to support the performance of your organization? So that's step number 4, to keep at it, continue working on it, continue working on the development of your culture. These 4 steps that we've outlined today have helped to transform our organization and culture from good and decent to all of those words that you heard our team members use to describe the culture at the beginning of this video. One of them that was mentioned multiple times was extraordinary, which is phenomenal and really honestly just humbling for me to hear that, considering the years-long journey that it's been for us to get there. And with that, I'll say that obviously we still have plenty of work to do. Our culture is not perfect. We won't pretend that it is. We've still got plenty of work to do, always room for improvement on every front. But this process of culture development is working for us. Our culture is absolutely foundational for extraordinary business performance at Diamond C. It's our foundation for that. And we know that that extraordinary business performance is absolutely our key to fulfilling our purpose and fueling the growth and success of our team members and customers and community.
Man, Jeffrey, sounds like an exciting culture, and I'm very, very proud to be part of it. One of the ways we're going to continue curating our culture, and not only for the DC family here, but also abroad, is with this fundamental series that we're going to kick off next week. This series is going to be exclusive to YouTube, so you guys already know, make sure to be subscribed and make sure to have notifications on. So until then, peace.